Embrace your kit lens. No lens shaming here. Morning, thanks for joining me. It seems these days that we are kind of bombarded with messages to buy more inexpensive equipment, camera equipment. And for a lot of people, photography really is just a hobby. And the fact that they've actually graduated from a cell phone to a digital, maybe a mirrorless camera or a DSLR, is a big step for them. And in a lot of cases, they've kind of stretched their budget to even do that. And so the kit lens is the lens that you normally get with a camera when you buy one. It comes with the camera. It's part of the deal. And often it's even thrown in. So kit lenses have seemingly developed a reputation that I think is undeserved. So let's talk about the history of kit lenses just a little bit. So if you rewind back into the late 50s, 60s, in that era, when SLRs became very popular, the lens that they normally came with would be a 50 millimeter, most often an f2 or an f1.8, or maybe even an f3.5, just a 50 millimeter fixed, focal length lens. And that was pretty much standard fare. And of course, in that time, zoom lenses were pretty scarce. I think the few zoom lenses at that time that had been created were largely used in the movie industry. And so when you bought a camera, you bought an SLR, maybe you bought an early Nikon or an Exacta, something that was available, one of the German cameras maybe, even a rangefinder camera. If it had interchangeable lenses, you probably bought it with a 50 millimeter lens. And then maybe later on you bought yourself a 35 and then an 85 or a 100 millimeter lens, something in that focal length range. And as a photographer, you worked with those kind of, that range of lenses most of the time. And then zoom lenses started to become more available, and the quality some of the early zoom lenses were pretty dreadful, just to be honest. But as the quality began to improve, the camera manufacturers decided that they could offer a short focal length range zoom lens, and that was an attractive package on their camera. It made their camera more attractive to purchase. So kit lenses, as we know them, started to become available. And some of those early zoom lenses that were available as kit lenses were frankly pretty dreadful. A lot of them had a pretty short range. On 35 millimeter, they would have often like a 35 to 70 millimeter focal length range. The image quality wasn't that good. They just didn't even hold a candle to a good prime lens. But the novelty of a zoom lens and the ability to zoom through that range and have all those focal lengths covered in one lens was attractive. And over time, of course, kit lenses have improved considerably, and now they cover a broader focal length range, and the quality is even better. So let's look at my 5 reasons why I think you should embrace your kit lens and use it. So let's take a look. Reason number 1, affordability. The kit lens that you have probably came with the camera body when you purchased it as a package, and you probably paid very little extra for the lens, and in some cases maybe not much more than the price of the camera body itself. Now, if you purchased this lens separately, you probably made that choice because it was affordable. Now, these kit lenses today are, I believe, much better than kit lenses of the past. And truly, the skill of the photographer is much more important than the lens and the camera that he uses. Some of the greatest photographers used very simple and basic cameras that had fixed focal length lenses, and they were very primitive, and they made just amazing photographs. And so developing your skill as a photographer is much more important than buying some new expensive fancy hardware. Unless you're just wanting to impress your friends with the hardware, if you're indeed truly after becoming a better photographer, then this kit lens won't slow you down. There's a story about a famous violinist, and off the top of my head, I can't remember if it was Fritz Kreisler or Jascha Heifetz or one of those guys back then, but he wanted to prove that it wasn't the Stradivarius violin that he played that made his music great, that it was his skill. So he played a concert with a really cheap violin. And at the end of the concert, everyone was applauding and just, loved the music. And he threw the violin on the floor and stomped it to pieces. And the crowd was aghast. But his point was, it wasn't the violin that made his music, it was his skill. And so, same thing here. It's not this camera or this lens that's going to determine the quality of your pictures. It's the skill that you develop using this equipment that will determine the quality of your photographs. You can take a great photographer and give him a cheap camera and he'll take great pictures. You take a photographer with no skill at all and give him the finest equipment and he'll produce snapshots. So, honing your skill is much more important than buying hardware. Reason number 2, useful zoom range. Today's kit lens covers a full frame equivalent of 28 to say 80 or maybe 100 millimeter. That range is designed to handle 90% or more of your photographic needs. At the 28 millimeter end, you've got a moderate wide angle that is good for architecture, for landscape, for group portraits. It's a super useful range, and it's wide enough to start giving you some of that artistic wide angle effect where you can do some artistic work with it. Zoom in a little bit to the 35 millimeter equivalent, and you've got a lens that's a focal length that's very popular with photojournalists. It's good for lots of informal, like street photography. Still wide enough for some landscape use. It's just a very useful focal length. Zoom in to the 50 millimeter equivalent, and you've got what is equal to a 50 millimeter lens, which is the kind of the normal or standard lens for full frame cameras. And the 50 millimeter focal length is supposed to be roughly equal to what we see with our own eyes in terms of field of view. So that's why it's one of the reasons why it's so popular, and it is a very useful focal length. It's good for 3/4 length portraits, family pictures, just all kinds of uses the 50 is great for. You zoom on out to the telephoto end, whether that's 80 or 100 millimeter, and you've got a great portrait lens, a lens that's good for product photography. It's good for just bringing things in a little bit closer. And the whole idea of a zoom lens, of course, is that you're not stuck with any one of those individual focal lengths, but you can in fact zoom in to frame and compose your picture, and that makes it very handy. So today's kit lens can cover 90% of your photographic needs. And again, these aren't too expensive. Reason number 3 is size. Today's kit lenses are very compact, some even more compact than this one. Olympus makes one that's virtually a pancake lens until you zoom out with it. So when you're carrying it in storage mode, it's very small. Now these kit lenses, compared to say a professional quality lens that has a faster maximum aperture, they're just tiny compared to them, half the size in some cases. So if you graduate to a pro quality lens, you're going to have a lot bigger piece of glass hanging around your neck. And the problem with that is that, pretty soon a big heavy lens, you're just not going to want to carry it around, so you're leaving the camera in its bag or at home or whatever, and you're not out taking pictures with it. The nice thing about the kit lenses, they don't weigh much, they don't take up much space, so you're more likely to carry the camera around and actually use it. And a camera that you have with you is a whole lot more useful than one you don't. So don't discount the importance of size, especially if you travel a lot or if you are, in the habit of carrying your camera around with you all the time. The size of the lens is an important factor. So, size. Nothing has it like a kit lens. They're nice and compact. Reason number 4 is quality. Today's kit lenses are much better than the kit lenses of many years ago. Kit lenses today can deliver great quality images and do so at an affordable price. If you buy a camera and it comes with a kit lens and the images are terrible and they're not sharp and you don't like it, how likely are you to stick with that brand when it's time to upgrade to professional quality equipment? If you spend your time with your camera and your kit lens honing your skill and getting to the point where you're ready to upgrade to pro quality gear and start taking pictures professionally, if you've had poor performance from that kit lens, how likely are you to stick with that brand? you're probably going to start shopping for something else. But if you have good performance from this kit lens and you like using it and you like the camera equipment from a particular brand, when it comes time to upgrade to pro quality gear, you're more likely to stick with that brand. And the manufacturers know that. So they have put a lot of development into these kit lenses. And I think today's kit lenses are far and away better than what they used to be. Now, are they equivalent to a pro quality lens? No. And if you're going to shoot professionally, you need to invest in pro quality gear. But until you get to that point, or if you're just an amateur with no aspirations of becoming a professional photographer, don't discount the quality of a kit lens. Today's kit lenses are really capable of very good image quality and performance. So don't discount the quality of today's kit lenses. Reason number 5 is technology. Today's kit lenses enjoy vast improvements in technology compared to kit lenses of the past. Today's lenses have really good autofocus that's fast and virtually silent, so they are good for video use as well as, obviously photography, and they focus just really fast. They have vast improvements in lens coating, vast improvements in lens element design. Today's kit lenses often have aspheric lens elements, which were only available on the most expensive pro lenses, back in the 70s and 80s and even 90s. So the technology available in today's lenses is just vastly improved compared to kit lenses of the past. Another reason that I really believe that today's kit lenses, the reputation that the word kit lens has just doesn't really fit them. So don't discount all the improvements in technology that these have. They enjoy some of the same technology the more expensive lenses have at a much more affordable price. So great technology too. There you have it, my 5 reasons why I think today's kit lens is a high quality, viable tool for photography. Today's kit lenses are far and away better than kit lenses of the past, and I think the term kit lens has an undeserved reputation. So take yours out, take some pictures with it, enjoy it, have some fun. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the channel. That'll help it grow. And as always, thanks for watching.